30% would be 900, but it's only 3%, which is more realistic. You will not get 30% from anything. Jackson.
You're using
I equals what?
formula I equals PRT, but it says use P equals IRT.
Nikki Colley, can you help him out with that one?
The sheet is wrong.
It's a little like if you look at where they put the 1,000, they put a comma, then $1,000. The comma's in the wrong place, isn't it, on the sheet?
Yeah.
Careful what you get off the internet. Now, okay, this, ladies and gentlemen, is simple. Okay, if the sheet goes on to try to explain to you what compound interest is. Okay, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And we are going to take it step by step, and then I'll throw at you the formula, which, by the way, if you'd like to bring a calculator to school, feel free. There'll be times when I'll say, let's just use a calculator. I don't want you to spend your whole life multiplying a huge bunch of decimal numbers together there. Now, starting at the case number 2 on your paper there, it says you still invest $1,000, still at 3% for 1 year. Okay, so question 2A says after 1 year, you have $1,000 in principal, still at 3%, but it's just 1 year. You should be able to tell me the answer to letter A. How much interest? How much is that? The question says, how much interest would you earn at the end of 1 year? You should know that. At the end of 1 year, if you just take interest equals principal times rate times time, interest equals 1,000 times 0.03 times just 1 year. How much interest are you going to make for letter A, John?
$30.
Okay. A equals $30. Letter B, for 2, asks you how much money will you have in the bank? You made the $30 interest, you still have the $1,000, so Jack, you've got
$1,030.
$1,030. $1,030. That's letter B. Does anybody have any issue with that? I just put my principal with my interest there. Now, here's where things get a little dicey. Is it 3A? What does 3A ask you to do? Read 3A for me there, Nikki Collin.
Find the amount of simple interest that you would earn at the end of a 1 year period.
Is it 3A or am I going 4A? Oh, read me part 3. 3 says to do what? Take what?
Take the total amount of money that you have from number 2, part B, and put it back into the same amount for another year.
Okay, so what we're going to do, though, this time we're switching things up a little bit. Now, since I have $1,030 in the bank after 1 year, I am going to use this as my new principal. So now my interest equals principal times rate times time. I'm going to use $1,030 instead of the 1,000. My rate is still 3%, and my time is still just 1. So if I do that math there, and I take 1,030 times 0.03, how much interest am I going to make? John?
$30.90.
Yes. So for 3A, I now made $30.90. And then it says, add that to the principal you started with to see how much money will you now have in the bank after that second year? Well, you need to add that 1,030 onto this. You're going to end up with $1,060.90. Stop me there if you didn't get that. I started out my second year with $1,030. I made this much in interest. At the end of the second year, I'm going to have $1,060.90. Jackson?
How do you do 1,060?
I started the year off with $1,030. I made $30.90 in interest. I add those two together, I get $1,060. That's how much I'd actually have in the bank. Okay? And then guess what you do? This was year number 1. This is year number 2. And then I have to do that one more time for year number 3. For year number 3, I do my principal equals interest times rate times time. Okay, what was my, I'm sorry, there we go again. My interest equals principal times rate times time. How much money do I have at the 3rd year? I have $1,060.90. Right, that's how much I have in the bank. I'm still getting 3% interest, and my time is again 1 year because I'm just doing for the 3rd year. I need to take my $1,060.90 times 0.03, 0, 27, 2, 18, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. How much money did I make in interest? Jeremy Schwartz? Yeah, we'll just round it up to $31.83. That's my interest on the 3rd year. My new principal is, I take how much I started that year out with and add how much interest I earned. I need to add my $1,060.90. Add those together for my new principal at the end of 3 years. I get 3,729,01. So at the end of 3 years, I have this much money in the bank. Okay, that case number 2 thing is called compound interest. Compound interest. And what it means is rather than just getting the same amount of interest each year, you get to add the interest that you earn the next year and get interest on the interest. And you can see the difference. The difference with compound interest, I made what? $1,092.73. At the end of 3 years with simple interest, how much did I have? Just $1,090. So I made in 3 years $2.73 more using compound interest. Now to you that does not sound like a lot, but $1,000 isn't a lot of money. Okay? If I had $10,000, okay, that's going to be 10 times more. And if you had $100,000, that's going to be 100 times more. But what you have to realize, this was only after 3 years. What happens is, it's called exponential growth. Okay? What happens is this. You know, the first year, it's that little line that looks like this. Okay? After 1 year, you make just a little bit more with compound interest. The second year, and you can see it. Let's just take a look over here. Okay? After 1 year, I just earned 90 extra cents, right? After the first year. But after the second year, I actually earned, almost $2. After the 3rd year, I earned, I guess after the 3rd year it was almost $2. Okay, and what's going to happen after the 4th year, I would earn even more. And the 5th year, and the 6th year, and the 7th year, and whatever year, eventually compound interest makes a whole lot of difference. And it's huge in the world of savings. As a matter of fact, it works like this. When you have compound interest, write this down because this is a big thing in the financial world. There is a rule of 72. Okay? And what that rule says is this, and this is just like a ballpark figure. It's not like an exact thing, it's like an estimation tool. Okay? Whatever interest percentage you get, whatever interest percentage you have, okay, you divide that, or divide 72 by that, and that's how long it will take you to double your money. we'll talk a little bit about that. Because those of you that go out into the financial world, which just about everybody does at some point, will need to understand this. In other words, this, okay? If you go out and you get 8% interest on your money, okay? Let's say you just do $1,000. If you do $1,000 at 8% interest, you take the percent, divide it into 72. What's 72 divided by 8? 72 divided by 8 is 9. What that says is after 9 years, you will double your money. Which means after 9 years, you'll have $2,000 in the bank. If you just get 8% a year. Okay? Now that's compound interest. Let's just stop me yet. If I just had simple interest at $1,000, okay, simple interest means I make 8% every year no matter what. What is 8% of $1,000? Lauren, take a shot. No, it's either 880 or 800. Which one is it? Huh? $80. How many years making $80 a year would it take for me to get $1,000? Well, 8 times 12 is 96. It's going to be a little more than 12 years. Okay? So at simple interest, it takes me 12 years to double my money. At compound interest, it only took me 9 years. But here's the beauty of this. What's going to happen here is, after another 9 years, this $2,000 is going to double into $4,000. How long would it take me to get $4,000 at simple interest? Well, it takes me 12 years to get $1,000. It's going to take me another 12 years to get another $1,000, and it's going to take me another 12 years to get another $1,000. So it's going to take me 36 years at simple interest to get to my $4,000 mark, whereas it only took me 18 years at compound interest to get that. Now, before you give me any more questions, we do it one more time. My money is going to double to $8,000 in another 9 years, which puts me at 27 years. In 27 years, my money went from $1,000 to $8,000. That's at compound interest. But at simple interest, taking 12 years to get $1,000, how long is it going to take me to get up? It's going to take me 7 times 12. It's going to take you 84 years at simple interest to get to this point, which you got 8,000. And that's what I mean by exponential growth. As it starts growing, it gets faster and faster and faster, and you make more and more and more money. Now, what if you made 10% interest? Guess how fast you would double your money? How many times does 10 go into 72? In 7.2 years, you'll double your money. If you had 20%, if you got 20%, and that's why people talk about the stock market. If your returns are 20% every year, in the stock market, you'll double your money if it's 20%, which is unreal. You know, you're going to double your money in 3 years. Which, if you have $100,000 in there, double it, you made $100,000 in 3 years just by putting your money in an investment thing. And that's the difference between compound interest, where you keep adding interest and getting interest on interest, and simple interest, where you just get the same every year. Now the questions. Nick Shanks was up first.
If you have a larger amount of money, will it take longer to develop?
No. The percentages, the rates it'll double are the same. You'll just end up making a whole lot more money a lot faster. Okay? I mean, it's just like this. If you had $10,000 here instead of this, it would be, you would double this to $20,000. So you make a whole lot more because you start out with a whole lot more at the beginning. And that's why, children, you will go to people who are in financial things. They will tell you to start investing earlier. You don't have to put a lot away, It's not about how much you put away, it's about how long it's put away for. Okay, because you guys, I mean, before your age of retirement, you have 50 years. How many times your money, whatever you put away now, let's say John puts away $1,000, which isn't a whole lot now, but it's going to, $1,000 will double, how many times? How many times will $1,000 double in 54 years? At 8%, or at 8%. I mean, we doubled here 9, 18, 27, 36, 45. You're going to double it like 5 or 6 times. So whatever, huh? 6 times? So if you double this, double this, what's that? This was our 4th double. Okay, double it again at 16,000. That's our 5th double, right? And our 6th double is 32. If John throws $1,000 away this year, and he just gets 8%, which is pretty typical. Most people in whatever investment end up around 8%. By the time he's old enough to retire, I mean that made him he's got $32,000 instead of $1,000. If John did $5,000, then it gets nuts because you go from 5 to 10 to 20 to 40 to 80 to 160 to $320,000. And it wouldn't take you very much to become a millionaire just by investing something small right now. It's like, Nick, who said their grandma bought them stock in something? Yeah, whatever it is.
Sell it now.
Yeah, well, if Harley Davidson ends up being 8% every year, I mean, you could go back, and here's what you do, Nick. Go back and look and see, like 16 years ago, what Harley Davidson stock was at. See if it's gone up 8% every year. I mean, it's a pretty easy thing to do, and that's the whole. It's about time. Oh, she never told you?
My parents just told me I'd stop like this.
So buy a Harley is what your dad's saying.
Yeah.
But, you have to watch the stock market. It's a gamble. I mean, 8 years ago, people lost 80% of what they had in it. I mean, it's starting to build back up. People are probably back. In the last 8 years, people probably haven't gained anything. I mean, they're probably back where they started from in the last 8 years. But the problem was the stock market from like the year 2000 to 2008 grew by like 10 or 12 or 14% a year, which is unreal. So they call that there's a correction that they say you can't keep growing out of control. It'll eventually stop and drop way down again and shoot back up again. It's all about the thing. Lucas Espanol.
I have a question. So, is this like compound interest for when you put your money in the bank too?
Yes, you don't get compound. Compound interest is not. Banks don't charge you compound interest. You only get compound interest. Like when you get a loan, that's all simple. I mean, that's all whatever percent. Yeah, but in most banks, it always is compound interest.
So
But the problem is this: if you put it in a savings account, like I said, savings account are at 1%. In the rule of 72, if you're only making 1% interest, how long is it going to take you to double your money? 72 years, and most of us aren't going to double anything in 72 years. I mean, you guys aren't. I would certainly won't be around, and the odds of most of you even being here. That's why people don't want to. I mean, the bank is the safest place for it, but you certainly aren't getting a lot of return for your money at this point. How many hands did you have your question answered? Did I cover all that? Yes, Nikki Cow.
Could you like get like $1 million loan from the bank and then put it in a savings account and like after?
Well, and that Nikki Kala brings up a good point. And some people, I'm sure, have done this, even with credit cards. If you can get the cash from a credit card, the problem with credit cards is the interest is so high. Nikki says, can you go to a bank, borrow whatever money at 4%, put it into some sort of a stock market thing, and make even 6 or 8 or 10%? I mean, you're going to have all this money that's making you money, but it's pretty hard to get a bank to loan you money, like I said, without collateral. Okay, you can't go get $100,000 without having something worth $100,000 that the bank could sell and make their money. You know what I'm saying? You can't just say I want this amount of money without anything to back it up. Okay, you have to have a house, a car, land, or something, and then maybe they'll loan you the money to do it because they need to know that if everything falls, if the stock market crashed and you put all that $100,000 in it, they need to still be able to get their money back. So it's pretty tough to do. And that's why if you're a wealthy, rich person, you probably can do a lot more than that. Lauren Daffenberg,
Why is it 72?
it's just the way it works. And like I said, it's just that's a guesstimate, a way to guesstimate it. It's just the way it is. I mean, that's just the number that comes up. And we're actually gonna jot down the formula for compound growth. Because rather than, this gets pretty tedious if you did this every year, had to try to figure out your interest. There is that big formula, which we're gonna write down here as soon as I can find it. Yes, Lucas?
So if it was at 8% right now, $1,000 and the time of 31 of $8,000.
Well, how many times did it double? How old are you right now? So it doubles, what doubles, you know, 4,000, 1,000, 2,000, 2,000, 4,000. I hope this is the same thing. Write down this formula. I hope this is the right one. I should look and see. Maybe it's in the book somewhere. Nick?
Like, so what would you put your money into to get like compound?
Well, if you buy stocks, it'll be compound. And in banks, when you put your money in a bank savings account, it's compound. Okay? I mean, because a stock, you keep earning. Stock, you would get compound interest as long as every time you made money, you reinvest it and put it back into the stock. In other words, you know, you made $100, you buy that $100 more of that stock, and it still keeps investing it. Oh, long book. I mean,
But couldn't the stock go down first?
that's why the stock market is probably one of the biggest gambles you're ever going to face in your life. There are, you can buy stock in just about anything, and there are safe stocks, and there are high-risk stocks. And the issue with that is the more high-risk something is, the more you can potentially gain. I mean, if you look at what companies in the United States have been around a long time. Apple? I don't know if Apple has only been around for 30 years.
McDonald's.
Okay, McDonald's is a pretty safe bet because McDonald's is probably gonna stick around. Oh, wait, maybe we don't have, what? I wanna give you the compound interest formula, but I wanna make sure this is right. Alright, let's just go with it. Write this down on your piece of paper. This is for compound interest. Rather than doing the 3% every time and having to figure the new thing out, this is what it should look like. A equals P, and then in parentheses, 1 plus R over N to the NT power. And let's make sure we have this written down here. Again, P is principal. We'll see if it works with our thing here. R is the rate, annual growth rate. N is the number of times it's compounded. Number of times compounded a year. Is that all we have to have? T is the number of years. And A is the final amount. Let's put our $1,000 in there and see if it works out to be what we just said it was. So if we use this formula with that $1,000, A equals $1,000 times 1 plus, what rate did we say? 0.03, 3%. Now, the number of times it's compounded per year, usually banks actually compound your money quarterly, which means they'll figure out what your interest, how much you make in 3 months, and then they'll put it back in there and you'll get it. The more often it's compounded, the more you're going to make. Okay, but for right now, we just said it's compounded annually, which 1 time a year. So this would be over 1 times, what was N? 1 times 3, right? That's our little number of times per year, just once annually for 3 years. That was our thing. So it looks like this. 1,000 times 1 plus, this is still just 0.03, to the, what power? Third power, right? 3 years. Now what do I have to do first, ladies and gentlemen? Parentheses. Oh boy. So this is 1,000 times 1.03. Now what do I have to do? In order of operations, what comes next? Nick?
You don't.
Yeah, you have to do this first. Before you do the multiplication, exponents come before multiplication. What is 1.03 to the third power? Glad you asked. Oh, my toolbar's gone. I don't want to have to multiply that out. Do you know how long it would take me to multiply that out? I got a little calculator here. One 1.03 times 1.03 times 1.03 equals, guess what? 1.092727. Multiply that by 1,000. Well, put the decimal three places. $1,092.72. Is that what we figured it out was? What was it?
Should it be 73 cents?
73 cents. Was that what we came up with when we did it out?
Yes.
So there it was. So let's do it for example based on stuff that we know. How much money do we have? Give me a number. Let's just say $10,000. Let's say somebody dies and gave you $10,000. Okay? And let's say you took that money right now as a 13, 14-year-old person. You're going to get an average of 8%. Okay? It's going to be compounded just annually, one time. What's that, R? N. And let's say that how long before you want this money? Let's say you want to buy a house. How old will you be when you want to buy a house? Let's say that's another 10 years. So in 10 years, when you're old enough, 24 years old, you want to buy a house. If you stick 10% in the bank, how much will you have? Now, let's figure out what you'd have if it was just simple interest. At simple interest, 10,000 times 8 is $800 per year for 10 years. You'd have $8,000 in interest, and you'd have your $10,000. At simple interest, you'd have $18,000. That's simple interest. We are going to use our little formula to figure out what compound interest is, which was compound interest equals principal times 1 plus, what was it, R over N times T. Fortunately, our N's are all 1, so it's going to be pretty easy. A equals $10,000 times 1 plus 0.08. N times T is still just, what, 10 years? Stop me there if you don't get it. Again, N, the little letter N is how many times a year it's compounded, and we're just compounding it once a year. Maybe we should try it. Well, next time we'll try it if it was compounded 4 times a year. See the difference. Wouldn't that be fun and exciting? Doesn't this just make you excited? So, what do we have here? $10,000. Am I going to have enough to buy a house? 1.08 to the 10th power. Okay, is there some way I could do this? I don't want to do it on my calculator 10 times, do I? Sure, calculator. Yeah, that's why. What would I get to the 10th power? Is there a way to do this? Somebody help me. What if I go to a spreadsheet?
Google it. You can Google it.
What, 1.08. I think I have to put in, I think it's this, isn't it? 1.08 and then the little caret sign to the 10th power. Is that not right?
What is it gonna do by itself?
Okay, well that doesn't make right sense though. That can't be right. Oh yeah, that's right. Because you're just doing a 1. It's not like you're multiplying by something else. What is that? 2 point what?
1.5.
Let's just go 2.1, 2.16. This is 2.16 times $10,000. You just move the decimal over 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, man.
So what do you got? You now have $21,600. That was after 10 years.
Buy a car.
So-
$30,000 car.
Yep, compound interest got you another $3,600. Now, let's change that and just put, let's say it was compounded quarterly, let's put a 4 here. I'm gonna do the same problem, except it was figured out every 3 months they did it. $10,000 times 1 plus 0.08 over 4 times 4 times 10. Okay? So what does that end up looking like? $10,000 times, you divide 4 into that, it's 0.02. So this is now 1.02 times to the 40th power. Now, I don't even have to go back. Oh yeah, I do. I do have to go back and do it. Well, with 1.02 to the 40th power, so I don't know what that's going to give us.
Maybe it's like,
I was going to say you could just use 1, but that would make sense. 1 to the 40th power is just 1, and you'll end up with $10,000. Here we go. Let's 1.02 to the 40th power. 2.2. Which ends up being what, $22,000. So how much did you make when it was compounded quarterly as opposed to
a lot more.
not that much? It wasn't. It's not that much. This was what, 2? What did I say? 2.2, right?
Yeah.
So you just get $22,000 instead of you made $400 more when they compounded it every quarter, as opposed to compounding it every year. Because what they do is you just make that little bit percentage more on just a little bit more interest. So, Lucas.
Do you do this?
No, do I? No, I am poor. I don't have anything. If you could find something where you made 36% growth every year, you double your money every 2 years. Think about that. How much money? If you could figure out how to grow money, 36%. That's the thing. John.
Does each, do like every bank have their own like percentage wise, or do they all banks just do like the same thing?
They're awful close. They are awful close.
Is that how they like stay competitive? Like one bank will make your savings up and like another bank will like lower the loan?
Now, children, you got this formula here? I'm sorry, A equals this. Here's my caution to you. Principal times 1 plus, what was it, R over N to NT. Here is the deal with credit cards. Credit cards do figure their interest compounded. Okay, and the deal with credit cards is that they compound whatever interest rate it is. Let's say you're at an 18% interest rate, which is common for credit cards, but they compound their things every month, which means the letter N is 12. You do it 12 times, you do it 12 times. So let's just figure out, let's just say you had a $5,000 credit card bill. Okay, that's your principal. Oh, you might as well. And your rate is 18%, and it is compounded every month, which is number of times per year. And after how many years do you wanna figure out how much you owe to? Let's say just after 5 years. Let's go 5 years. If you started out, borrowed, took your credit card, put $5,000 on it, and they charge you 12% or 18% interest, after 5 years, you're gonna end up owing, I can't do this math, I'll have to walk back there again. Anybody know what point 18 divided by 12 is?
No.
It's 1 plus. Wait, oh, I can do that here. It is 0.18 divided by 12 is 0.015.
6,000.
And then 12 times 5 is 60, correct? So now I have 5,000 times 1.015 to the 60th power. That I'm gonna have to do back here. It's gonna be interesting, you gotta guess?
Much.
It's gonna be a billion
No, it's not
dollars.
gonna be $1 million, but it's not gonna be cheap.
$600,000.
But that's,
It'd be
This song's
what did I say it was, 1 point, what is it, 1 point what? 1.5 to the 60th power.
It's gonna be like $11,000.
2.44. 2.44. 2.44. 2.44. 2.44. So 5,000 times 2.44 is, yep. On $5,000 that you borrowed, 5 years later, you're going to owe $12,200. Okay. In addition to if you have late fees or something like that they'll charge you. So the credit card thing is never a good bet. Never spend money that you don't pay. What's that? Just don't ever get
How are you supposed to pay on that? Oh, yeah, PayPal.
a credit card.
Get a PayPal.
Shopping spree.
That's even worse.
Okay, your line assignment is to do this quiz.
You can have a spending account and you can
I am going to look up the growth of Harley Davidson, just so we all know how much money Nick might have.
That's what Nick has like $30,000. Hey Nick, you wanna be my best friend?
We'll see if we can figure out what percent growth it has every year. That would be
Nick's a millionaire.
And my cousin's mom.
I'll just keep it out. I'll take that.
I think we should go party if you $1 million.
You steal all my
That I don't know. There are certain rules there. No, Nick, it's up 2% today.
Thanks.
Sell it. You should go in his account and like sell it, start making some money. Get some cash flow.
My parents have
Hog stock.
I'm buying some coffee.
Sir!
I'm sorry, I can't help them. But they're actually true.
Can I stack it up?
I'm all set though.
How long ago did you bought this stock, Nick?
Well, I think it was when I was born.
Over.
I'm 19.
Yeah, but yeah, it depends how much stock you have. If you have like one stock, you probably don't.
It's like how much money you put into the company. This is 3 times 2. This is 2 times 2.
That's awesome.
You cross off the 3 and you cross off the 2. 3 times 4, which makes out 2 times 2.
Wait, what day were you born, Nick?
November 7th, 1999.
November 7th.
Okay, want me to draw you a picture?
No, cause
No, if you break down 6, it's 3 times 2. If you break down 12, 3 times 4. And then break down 4, it's 2 times 2. And then you
I
cross.
don't it's for
I don't need that.
Oh wait, it's 6 and 6 cross out.
Okay.
Right?
No, it's the square root.
I know.
Alright, okay.
No.
Well, Nick, I got good news and I got bad news. We made money but not very much. And on October the 8th, or November the 8th of 1999, your dear stock price of Harley Davidson was $59.54.
Yeah.
And
It is.
as of yesterday, the stock price was $63.90.
Yay! Difference in
So you made $4 on per share. Now, to tell you what happened here though, if you go back to 2008, it crashed. The lowest it was is it went all the way down. Had your Graham waited to buy your stock until March the 5th, 2009, you could have bought it for $8.70.
Ooh.
And there's the deal with the stock market. Had you bought it then, how many times would it have doubled? You'd have made almost $60 per stock, which means you would have doubled 1632, almost doubled 4 times. It's doubled 4 times in the last 4 years.
Well, I don't know how much money you put into it.
Well, no, you don't know. But you still, that's not a very good percent return because you only grew from 59 to 63 is only, what is it? 6% is 50 cents, so 20%. And that's not a lot of growth in 13 stages of using. Are you done, Sage? Should I just take your quiz and give you your grade? That's not right now. Unless you're going into the stock discussion.
Oh yeah, we should check Disney World.
Alright, let's see what Sis has got going.
I don't know when their birthdays are.
Are you
I don't know.
I'll just put Disney, because I think that's it.
I don't know. It's too much.
Nick, when was your sister born?
I don't know.
Give me a general. How old is she?
What
Which one has the back?
Oh. You're the older one. So it's more
Should be, what year is school? Probably 20.
I think she's 19.
Oh my gosh, I remember year ago was my birthday.
94.
Yeah.
Any idea what her birthday is?
It's in July.
Okay, no, I will go to that. Okay, cool. That makes sense.
What do we have to say right now?
Can we go back? Bad I smacked my face and it hurts.
Alright, here you go, man. In June of 94, Disney stock
$6,000.
was 43.75.
Oh.
And yesterday, it was 64.
So did Harley Davidson do better?
No.
No.
But your sisters had it long,
Yeah.
so you really can't compare that to that.
When do you get money?
What?
When do you get money?
When you sell it.
Yeah, get this out now.
When do you do that?
When you sell it.
Why would you sell it?
Then you have to pay tax on whatever you made, so.
What?
Hey, basketball player, here's another little plug for this weekend's activities if you're around. I'm not sure it's got something going on in this guy, but I recommend that Aaron Sauber guy.
Oh, no.
It's all free.
You know, they say coach
I know
shoot.
you like the athletics.
And Coach Shoot got some stuff going.
How?
Coach Shoot likes this guy, so.
She likes many.
When you finish that quiz, if you wanna go get your readings and stuff. please.
What?
16 divided by 18.
No, 60.
60 divided by is
No, that's 56.
yeah, but it was 64.
Thanks, Nick.
That's right.
Oh, that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, tables upturned now, I have it. I'm gonna cry into the bathroom, eat chocolate, ruin my day off.
Oh, 1 times 5 is 100, that's right. It's
How did you get 82 out of 84? Oh, wow. Because I wrote it down and then I got it and then I wrote it down wrong.
Ah. You're right there. No, it wasn't. Sure it was.
All the shit I know was dress.
Well, I dressed okay.
What?
Thank you, Mother.
Well, that-
Ow, John, that wasn't very nice.
Hey, I put a candy.
Yeah.
Died.
It's about there's a hitchhiker and the ghost. I think it's a
I
ghost.
didn't really
And
get
then
it.
the guy is dead and I don't know how he died. He just died.
He didn't die.
No, he didn't die.
He didn't die. His mom thinks
He didn't die?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, he did.
No, his mom thought he did. No, his mom thought he got hit by the train, but he didn't.
I think he's
No,
a
no,
ghost.
there.
That's what I put.
Mine.
I think he's a ghost. And so it's the hitchhiker girl too.
I think the guy died.
That guy didn't
I
die.
had that written down.
I'm so confused. I don't get it now.
Thought that he did.
People like,
That's how we see it.
he's a ghost, so he's a ghost, so we see other ghosts. Because he always sees the hitchhiker, and he's a ghost.
Yeah, he's a ghost.
So the hitchhiker's a ghost, and
That's
he's a
what I
ghost,
was
and
like,
ghosts, and then
That
we
truck
see other
driver,
ghosts. So,
So he's dead.
So everyone would know.
I think even like,
Wait, but when did he die?
your dad, it said like 3 years ago or something. It said 6 days.
He
Like,
died
in
in
this-
the train.
the train accident, like right as he was.
That does not make sense.
So he was a ghost the whole entire time, or he was a ghost for when the
Sorry, I'm off the bridge. So like he left.
American
and
life.
it seems like next, like at the beginning of the
Easy, I still
And then you're gonna struggle to put your lock back on.
It's like well, like for example, he said, I knew that when I saw him next, I would run him down. You can like foreshadow that the next time you saw the guy, he would run him over. Or he was crazy.
No, but then you picked up the one of your own channel too.
Ghosts, they're all dead.
No.
Everybody's dead.
No, but then the
Ghosts.
truck picked her up too.
What about the guy that gave him
Everyone's
gas?
dead,
He
really?
did
Why?
too. I don't understand.
The truck picked her up.
Well, maybe those people can see the dead.
That's maybe the last thing I ever tell her.
How did that guy pick up the girl if he was dead? I have a question on the
She was a ghost.
He woke up and it was all a dream.
Are any of these right?
Okay.
Oh, he was already.
Do it!
You guys, I'm just.
Pick out your little foreshadowing sheets there.
America. By the way.
Instances of foreshadowing that you saw there, and maybe you caught it or not, this again, it does leave a little bit to the imagination as to really what the story is about or it's in. It's like, I don't know if you've ever watched The Twilight Zone or whatever, it gets you kind of thinking backwards and forwards and really what happened here. But if you had to say really how the story ended or really what it was about, what was the final conclusion to the story? And that kind of comes where it happens when line 540 of the story where it's Mrs. Whitney says, this is Beechwood 20828, it's all been very sudden. He was killed just 6 days ago in an automobile accident on the Brooklyn Bridge. So, what hath happened here? Sage,
He died.
he never made any journey at all. He was killed on the bridge as he was leaving. So yeah, you're kind of reading a quote unquote sort of ghost kind of story where this guy, all of his imagination or whatever, I mean it's just like the Twilight Zone where, you know, well, and there's some symbolic stuff in there. Okay, the hitchhiker, the guy that was always about, what would that symbolically be? Well, the devil or death itself. Okay, you gotta kind of read a little bit into this, you know, he could not, and symbolically, why would that be? Because he couldn't get away he couldn't escape from the death, which had already happened to him, but, I mean, it's, again, this isn't going to make sense in a literal fashion where he's not a real person writing the story, it's kind of playing with your mind sort of thing there. Jeremy?
I looked back in the beginning of the book and it said, if he stepped off the walk and the guy had swerved and hit him, is that when he died?
That probably was, where he ran off the bridge or ran into the bridge or died at that point or whatever. Yeah, you can there's no probably right or wrong. You could certainly make that analogy there. Why was one thing you noticed about the hitchhiker guy? What were his characteristics? He was always dark. He was always wet. And that's what Jeremy read, right? It was raining or something, and didn't say it was wet, and he swerved off the thing. So, yeah, you could look at him as quote unquote the grim reaper of sorts, if you will. I mean, but that was death kind of following him around. Everything else was kind of the imagination of somebody who really wasn't even there.
But then he called that. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's again part of the whole.
It said his mom.
Huh?
Then it said his mom was in the hospital.
Right, and why was his mother in hospital? It was because he died.
I don't know how would he know that. Yeah, how would
Because he called.
Yeah,
But he
how
couldn't
would
really
he-
call
He
because
called
he's a
from
ghost.
heaven. We all know it.
Right, but that's the thing. Like I said, it's not going to make sense because he's not really physically there. You're just kind of. I guess you could say it's written from the mind of a ghost. I guess would be kind of the deal there. It's like the Twilight Zone. Come on, people. You watch movies all the time that couldn't possibly happen. You have a hard time with this. Lucas Espanol.
Well, how could he call if he was a ghost? His fingers were there. And then, why was the lady like, oh yeah, hello, your time is up, hello.
Okay, it's a story, Lucas.
No, but then like the person I was
Sorry.
talking about his mom in the hospital was actually communicating with him.
I think that should make sense.
Right. That was filling in parts of the story. It's fiction. This is not real
You
life.
guys have imagination?
It's based on real.
You could write, yes.
scared.
It's very loosely based on what really could have happened at some point
No,
somewhere to
it's
Wow.
based
somebody.
on like real.
Have you ever
things.
seen the movie Ghost
Flying.
Really? There's
What?
a movie called Ghost.
with, what's her name?
What's it about?
Oh, that's on Netflix.
Ghost, the one with Patrick Swayze and
I think I know what you're
That
talking
is-
about.
Whoopi
Yeah.
Goldberg. It's not real. It's about huh?
With the sixth sense, because he doesn't know
I
he's
don't know.
dead.
I don't know. Just, yeah. But that's the gist of that sort of thing.
I'm confused.
That whole operator thing was just given there to get you to understand that the guy is not really even there. Everything was kind of made up there. I can't do any more about it than that. Some foreshadowing that you saw there. Who's got something there? Emma Christ, what do you got in the foreshadowing in the thing?
The girl doesn't see a man on the road, but because the creepy guy's a ghost.
Okay, well, the creepy guy isn't really a ghost. The creepy guy is not even really there, but I guess you could say he was a ghost of the ghost. Good. The creepy guy isn't there. That means that's a good indication that whoever's driving the car is somewhat missing there. Sage Hyde?
The mechanic never sees hitchhikers, so the man is a ghost or a figment of imagination.
Okay, again, not seeing the thing there. Jeremy Schwarr?
The mom said not to pick up any strangers and kept saying that.
Okay, not picking up a little foreshadowing there. Don't open that door. Don't pick up any strangers. Drive slowly. Don't go too fast. All those are little foreshadowing things that, what actually does happen is the reverse there, Nick Shanks.
I have Adam called his house and his mother-in-law is in the hospital because of him. And then I said he might be dead.
Yes, he might be. Lucas, do you agree he might be dead? No, don't answer that. Brandon?
But if he was talking to the girl in the car and like she didn't see him, how
Maybe
was
the
he-
girl wasn't real either.
Yeah, maybe the girl is.
Maybe the girl
Maybe this is all a dream sequence. Have you ever seen
Farmer
the Wizard of
was
Oz? Have you ever seen the Wizard of Oz? The whole movie's a dream. None of it ever happened. But you don't ask me why the lion is wearing the lion suit.
No, I
If
thought
I
she
were
actually
king of the forest. Well, it's not really a dream, it's just not real. Jeremy!
Don't drive fast, they drive fast.
Well, let's say he drives at a clip of 45 miles an hour where the truck goes at 75 miles an hour. Who's gonna get there first?
Depends
Yeah,
if
but
he like veers off the road.
But then he said he starts
blows
seeing
up.
them every mile, so.
Yeah, so you can certainly see that there's something slightly delusional about this whole story.
Is there like any more
I
to the
loved it.
story, or just?
I believe that's it.
Oh, it is?
That would be the end. We finished.
Wait, so there's like no like add-ons to what the story is?
Do you wanna add something onto it?
Yeah.
Nick Shanes.
When the hitchhiker was like saying hello.
Hello.
Kinda.
That's symbolic? Yes, I think it probably was. Say you can't get away from me. Welcome. Come to me, my dear child.
I just like the actor's voice.
I know, the guy like never read it, so it's like,
An interesting question the book makes here is number 5. It says, as you were writing down that foreshadowing thing, after the story ends, would you change some of your foreshadowing, knowing what the story actually was compared to what it was when you started writing it? See how that's that eerie twist of fate that we don't always expect the unexpected
So
sort of thing.
I could be directly now if this story was true.
Yes, maybe the story is actually real, and this is all just a figment of everybody's imagination.
What's that sound, guys?
Oh my
Yeah, everyone's dead.
No, we have to act like
Now, enough discussion on that. Put your names on those. Today is going to be another speed report writing day because we practice, and we'll get good at this. Nick, why do you use your videos This is just a free-for-all where you can do whatever you feel like and know. I would suggest putting those away. I know we have the don't ask, don't tell policy here, which means don't let me see it and you don't have to worry about it. But if you're like eating it up right in the middle of everything, that's a good thing.
personal narrative.
Where are they?
Oh, let's not.
Remind me, we will eventually, just not today. Here is your assignment. You have half an hour. I'm going to collect those foreshadowing things. You are going to write. Skip the vocab. I don't know. How many of these assignments do I give you that I'm going to collect?
3 million. A lot.
Yeah, but you got to do them. You're going to write a quote-unquote short book report again about this story. I think I gave you this once before. This is the same format you'll use for your real book report. Did I not give you this
We
already?
have to write a report on the story we just read.
Yeah.
It'll be very short and to the point.
So can we use your book?
Oh my goodness.
Sweet. Let me again highlight what I want to see. If you put these cards in here, you really can't go wrong. You have something to write with so you can highlight what I tell you. Okay, you can tell me what movie you want to see. Hello. Write on the bottom of your paper here, and the one I just gave you, your report will be 5 paragraphs long. Yes, Sage, you can write 5 paragraphs, it's not that hard. I suppose I could do this. Let's do this.
How long should each paragraph be?
Good question.
Are we okay?
No, actually,
Okay, so this will be our book report. No, this is a book report writing on the story.
This is the format of your book report. This doesn't have to be the world's best book report, but it needs to be in this format. Just stop. Just listen. Just listen, James. Just listen. Here we go. 5 paragraphs. And they will open up with number 1, your intro. And in your intro, you need to have, it says right there, the title of the book, author, a very short summary. In other words, if I were writing one about the hitchhiker here, I would just say, this story, well, it needs to have the setting in it. Let's put that in there. Where it takes place and what it's about. You don't get real details. In other words, you're saying this story, it's called The Hitchhiker, it was by whatever, it takes place back maybe in the early 40s. It's about this guy who keeps seeing this strange hitchhiker. There's your short kind of summary that just gives people a little intro into what the story is about. All right, so that's your introduction, and then you need 3 paragraphs that are the body that tell the story. Okay, so you'd probably start off with the first paragraph here being about him leaving home. And that's probably 3 or 4 sentences, and then all the stuff that happens to him. Seeing the hitchhiker, maybe some of the stuff that he sees along the way. And then you want to, obviously, what was the last thing the story finished up with? Him making the phone call home. That would be probably an important thing. And how you realize whatever there. And then, that's your 3 paragraphs there in the body. And then your 5th paragraph is your conclusion. What happens in your conclusion, ladies and gentlemen? You give your opinion. And would you recommend it? And it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to give, to go back to your introduction and see what you said in your introduction and restate it just a little bit. Although I like stories about hitchhikers or whatever, and I would never hitchhike myself, blah, 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 blah. Understood? See how easy that it will be? It's not going to be, again, and it's always good to give specific details. Don't talk just about the hitchhiker, but describe it a little bit. A dark, eerie figure that was always wet and always said, hello. Just give some important details there. Yes, as opposed to talking it. So since you're sitting right here with a pencil, I don't know how you would type it. That's my question, John. I just don't know. What else? I'm missing something. Yes, I know you have your library. Listen to me. Everybody, look up here. Eyes. Never in any of your book reports will you ever say the setting is to me. Okay? Nor will you say the main character is. Nor will you say my opinion is. That's just goofy. Okay? When you describe the place that takes place, I know that's the setting. Please don't say the setting is. Please don't say the main character is. The book is about blah blah blah. I know that's the main character because that's what you said. Okay? Don't tell me, don't insult my intelligence that I can't figure out the main character is the person you're talking about the whole time. Okay? So don't say the words, I don't want to see, don't tell me the author is. You say it was written by. The book, blah blah blah. Okay, give me a little bit of whatever that I am old enough and I can figure out the stuff you're talking about without saying the word blah blah is. All right, this will be our starting point, which we will rip to shreds when I read them out loud.
Are you gonna read these out loud?
It's better than reading out quiet. You have 20 minutes. I guarantee you could write this whole report in less than that amount of time. But it has to be 5 paragraphs, introduction, conclusion, 3 body paragraphs. And can I tell you, my daughter who is in sophomore honors, whatever English class, same exact thing. Almost every report you write is going to be in that format.
And so our whole report
But
that
doesn't
we have to
don't
do this quarter is gonna be 5 paragraphs?
Yes,
Yes.
That's it.
yes, and if you're writing more than that, you're telling me way more stuff than I wanna know about any story. Well, maybe, but I don't need to know, you don't have to read, it's a summary. You're not telling me, this isn't a 15-page paper, I don't have that kind of time. And I just wanna know, it's like the movie critics. They don't tell you every single thing that happened, they give you the summary of it, they give you the piece you need to know, you read it, everybody's happy, you're smiling, you're shining. Part of being a good writer is being concise, with showing some sharp, good details, selective words.
I can't say it, this book is by.
No.
Charlie.
Oh.
That takes away like half a sentence.
Nor do you ever use more than the same word more than once in a paragraph.
Hello.
So he used dumb,
Hello.
other than another one. Even if it is or is that you.
Now, if you didn't use a lot very.
I don't. Let's start there.
But can you say takes place?
Takes place.
Yeah, takes place is good. Occurs.
Oh,
What? Spend
How
time?
do I start it?
Sure. I like pen by. Was pen by, that's a better word than written.
Can we start with a hook?
Told by, stated by.
Can we start with a hook?
I would encourage that, but I don't want a question.
What?
But I don't want it as a question.
Do you like the
You don't want?
So you can say everybody loves a good horror story. That's a good hook. Not, do you like a horror story? That's too third grade. We're moving on. That's what you would write.
Yeah.
See, if I could predict Nick what you're gonna say, it's not good.
high five for that one?
Let's go.
It's horrible.
Early 40s, I put the late 40s.
I don't love a good horror story. Ha.
Don't be sure it's
No, I know, I was gonna add to it. Fake word.
You forgot to make
I did,
you make
that's
accidents.
You make me eat weakness.
No, it's not, it's supposed to be one thumb.
There's something that hurts.
Yeah, it does, look. We're supposed to do.
Stop it, Jeremy.
It's not the
Why?
Ah, Chris, I like to reach. Are these so close to move?
The flames, they're monkeys.
You're gonna wash your back.
How am I supposed to start it?
Where's the buddy? Look.
I can get like one in my head.
Start with your book.
I don't know what that should be.
You see what I started to say?
No, 'cause that's copyright. That's plagiarism.
Yeah, John.
You didn't write it down.
And then the teacher
The
gave
West thing.
Hello. Oh my goodness. Don't know what that was. Like Bella's
Did
no.
that.
Who wrote every one of them? Lucas.
Like it was Lucas, but like
What?
that's
You write everyone up there?
that was really late, Emma.
I was like, wait, what's that?
Stop it.
Okay,
Wait, why would Adam going to where is it going?
Unless you're a cheerleader.
Adam
Hey, everybody.
was interesting.
Guys, do your homework.
Did you shut my face hole?
Good, not that.
We're in. How come
It's never in.
It's always in.
Oh. Why do you always have a water bottle? Always. Next time. Oh my god. Jerry. Brandon, what did you say?
No, we're doing.
Jeremy, it was
Doing something.
Hey, John. Hey, John.
Brandon, stop touching Jerry.
We're doing something.
John.
I can't stand.
I love you.
Don't post what's words, and then just somebody's here.
Yeah, but you just all chill.
I can't think. I did all the homework for me. Just like that science stuff we had last year. They did for like 6 people. You're like, oh, I don't want it. I was like,
It was just a oh, Nikki did it.
You can't do that.
Oh my gosh. Around like that. This is so sad.
Everyone, Jackson, I saw you.
Yeah.
I don't care. You can't do
It was just.
Was this created by Lucy?
Lucille.
Feel my Kraken?
Tingling.
No, it's Lucy Feel my Kraken.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet balls fire.
Lucy Feel my Kraken. I say I did, but it's like written by Lucy.
That's what Jerry's doing.
And the game of the
Sweet balls fire.
what's that?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We always want to summarize a book in the body instead of
The body.
Wow, Jeremy.
what is it?
You should do those. Alright.
Gosh,
Thank
dang
you.
it.
So you would hit me with that. I would not be your friend. Hi. Your socks would go with
Little schoolboy. Thank you.
What's your sock, Jeremy?
I'm from the 80s, guys.
We'll go with the age. We'll go with
I feel so.
yeah.
Well, then he's turning to.
Wanna eat?
Seeing this mysterious figure. At first he believes it's the sun that keeps picking him up. Going crazy. Slowly but surely.
Is it called the page?
A week before the end of the quarter. Yeah.
Why you would say
I have to
that?
have a weekly practice before I put it in.
Why you would say that?
So kids, write down, the end of the quarter is the 23rd. Your book reports will be due, Mrs. Stone is here as my witness, on Wednesday the 16th. That would be 2 full weeks from today.
Wait, which book are
No, he's just kidding, Corinne. This is all a joke. Wake up. This is a dream. It's a dream.
And then I don't care anymore.
Yeah, they're not
Oh my goodness.
Next year, so I'm sorry to do this, guys. It is strange, you guys weren't born that long before the big stock market crash.
You were born back in gases and 99 cents.
So, very-
99.
What's it, 99 cents and 99?
That's what my dad said.
I was born, I'm going to Google that, because it seems like it's been longer than that.
Then you can go back on, I'll correct myself.
1999?
But it seems like you would say this.
Yeah.
Probably was. No, it says here gas, gallon of gas is now. The price of an ounce of oil in '99 is $280. Now it's $1,500.
Yeah.
Gold has gone up 300%. A Slurpee's gone up.
3 cents.
Wait. Slurpees are still a buck.
Yeah.
Well, this goes back to 2009 prices.
Slurpees
are.
Some are
Here's the big babysitting an hour was $7 to $10.99. Now it's 10 to 15. That's
An hour.
I get paid
I
like.
I get paid like $20.
I get paid to babysit.
How old is that on the story?
You can have some like back. Oh, no, that's what we do. I'll take
Yeah, tell him.
But her grandchildren.
We're 36 years old. Yeah.
What time I babysat a dog for a week, but I was walking up to the, like an hour.
Easy boys. You're better than
It was 99 cents.
Sure.
Are you serious?
Always on the pre-writing.
Oh.
Alright, go ask Mrs.
Oh.
Stone or Miss Young if they have a question. Children, there is no possible way your first writing could ever be a common draft. Never. It's not even starting this point forward.
Oh, shit, it's
So we don't have
paragraph.
to start.
From this point forward.
So just like after.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
No.
You were about to do it, so you're like, oh.
In the household. Yeah. I have my big boy outside.
Oh, what?
I do that.
But don't say my chicken was. I don't know if I can use the word recommend. That usually happens. Yeah, chronologically, let's do this. Here we go.
Is this kid
And please don't say the conflict in the story is man versus man. I don't want you to, I mean, you can say it was Adam versus Adam, whoever.
Did you just throw your head away?
Adam versus
Y'all smile today.
You're awesome. What?
This is not Mary and Adam versus your dad.
No, you said that.
But no, I'm not collecting these.
Wait, is that
Where's your magic?
Say good math.
Then you can watch like it's by the end of the year you don't have it. Oh, I see the stop.
Hey, bro, are you by yourself?
Oh yes,
Hey, people that are gonna play basketball, here is, there's a couple things coming up here, just 3 like little clinics here. I would, if you're gonna play, this is kind of, if you got nothing going on Saturday or Sunday, if you do, that's fine. This Saturday, just for 10:30 to 11:30, if you got some time, check this thing out. I think it'd be well worth your effort and time. Tell your parents, it's free, what? And then Doc Shoot is doing a couple things on the next couple Sunday nights, so take this home, give it to the folks and say, hey, mother, father, I would love to go to this. Keep telling them it's free. It's free babysitting, what it is. They'd have to pay they'd have to pay babysitters like $15 to watch it for an hour. It's free. Alright, here we go. What? Number one, and I will tell you this as fifth graders, because you might as well get used to it here. Some of you I see have caught on to this here. Children, dear fifth graders, on your assignment paper, you will notice that every big square for a problem is also divided into what, Sandy Ballinger? Little squares. Those little squares are there to help you to draw nice lines and to space things out. So for problem number one, when it asks you to draw a number line, it would be very nice if you would draw that number line on one of those lines, and then each of the tick marks could actually be put on one of the up and down lines. If you want a good example, look at Grace Watson's, where she used the lines to help her and it looks nice and neat. Now, some of you just throw your lines willy-nilly in the middle of something. It just doesn't work quite as nicely. So please, let me encourage you to use, see how nice it would have been if you put the up and down lines on an actual line that's there. Because it just looks good. You look like a professional student. And that's what we're going for after all, isn't it, kids? Professional students. After all, how long, Caitlin, do you suppose you're still going to be in school? Where are you at in your whole academic career? You're in what grade? You have to get to what grade before you go to college? That's 7 years. And then when you go to college, how long are you there? So we're now, you have 11, count them, 11 years to go before you even get out into the real world of jobbing kind of things. So you might as well draw your lines on the straight things now. Save yourself lots and lots and lots of time later. Can you imagine that? How long have you been in school now? Well, if you count kindergarten and preschool, probably about 6 or 7 or 8. So you're not even halfway there yet, kids. But in the end is getting close. Number 2. Oh, number 1. You're just supposed to put the even integers, and that would be -6, -4, -2, 0, 2, 4, and 6. Those should be all marked down. Sorry. Number 2 is 4 times 9 is 36. 9 times 4 is 36. 36 divided by 4 is 9, and 36 divided by 9 is 4. Number 3, you're supposed to have tally marks that showed 16, so that gives you 3 clumps of 5, and then 1 extra little one stuck out by himself. Number 4, you should have 2 different ways. One's when you multiply 40 by 4 to give you 160, and one's when you added 4 40s together to give you 160. Number 5 is 409. Number 6, 1,210. 1,210. Number 7, written out in words, 20-4 divided by 6 in words. Number 8, same thing in words, 15 divided by 3. Should be words. If you don't have the words, you would mark it wrong. Not on the clicker so much as on your paper. I can wait for you to mark them wrong on your paper. Since you don't get to see the results of the clicker, it's more important that you mark it wrong on your paper than the clicker. Now we're on the same page. Number 9 should be greater than. Number 10 is 3. Number 11 is 9. 12 is 9. 13, $139.08. $139.08. 14, 37,808. 37,808. What was that? 14, 15. $238.63. $238.63. So 16 is equal to 17 is 4 hours. 17 is 4 hours. I can't change the answers, kids.